Um, yeah, Brian, I've never seen Brian upset or angry in any way, shape or form. I have seen him sad. As myself, I am saddened by what I see. And that's what I do observe with Brian when he's saddened by the conditions and the ignorance of people who have literally been kept in the dark. Um, he is upset with the lack of compassion by the Australian government, and he's perturbed and astonished actually at the attitude of the government of New Guinea, who Jamie Moxton Graham has suggested that he or we should be arrested should we turn up in New Guinea. Um, that's that's what's upsetting. I've not ever seen Brian anything other than calm under the most extraordinary circumstances, and he's happy. Happy except when sad over what it is that we're witnessing, but satisfied and a great deal of peace about what we've been able to take into Papua New Guinea, and it really doesn't matter what the authorities say or think. It was determined when we set out that we would just go to the people. They were the ones that are being afflicted, and certainly authorities are living comfortably, whereas the people themselves are living in poverty and under this death sentence where they need not. Now, the process itself, the protocol itself, is invented by others like Robert Z. Beck. We adopted his protocol, and with Brian's own work that he had already done years before Robert Beck was on the scene, and adding the ozone to the protocol, mixing it with the colloidal silver. Ozone has been known for years now to cure viruses and certainly AIDS. Particularly there was a work done in Germany about that. The pulsar, the application of the 4 hertz electrical pulsar to the wrist, what that does is it actually shakes up and vibrates the RNA of the cell, and so it loosens it up so that when the patients are drinking the colloidal silver with the ozone added to it, the silver itself is a positive charge in the water. Adding the extra oxygen molecule to it, now remember this, it's an extra oxygen molecule, H2O3. It itself is a slightly negative charge, but then it is attracted to the positive charge of the silver, and so it literally morphs into the silver and becomes one positive charge. Once the patient drinks the water, the cell membrane, the RNA, has been loosened and itself is slightly negative, so it attracts the positive charge of the now combined colloidal silver with the oxygen there, and it goes right into the DNA of the cell and literally shuts down the breathing mechanism of the virus. It can't cope with the huge oxygen molecule that is now attaching itself to the DNA of the cell, and so it shuts down the virus right there and then, and that extra oxygen molecule actually completes what the DNA is lacking at the very center there, and so it makes the DNA of the cell whole again. Once that happens, it of course, because of the cell regeneration, 100 million cells per second, and the T cells themselves regain their eyesight, they're able to identify the enemy or other viruses in the blood. It happens very quickly, and that's why we see such remarkably fast results. Our fastest result, again referring back to Margaret, sick for 16 years, unable to walk, two of us carried her partially into the car. Within half an hour she had regained her hunger. This is a woman who had not been hungry for 16 years. She regained her hunger, and she was able to get up from where she was sitting taking the treatment and walked unaided, slowly but unaided, to the bathroom. She told us when we saw her 2 days later that after only one treatment, she defecated for the first time in 8 months the very next day, and her family were feeding her constantly to satisfy the now returned hunger. That is typical of all of the HIV positive, the ones who have the AIDS virus, is that their hunger returns. We've now got Lucy and Jimmy, Nix and Mary. There's Betty and Moses, all of them treating people with the equipment we left behind at in various locations in New Guinea. And nurses from Port Moresby Hospital began referring, again, knowing who Nix and Mary are, through their church actually. The nurses began referring patients to Mary in our absence, and they were being treated exactly the same results. The protocol applied sees exactly the same results. Mary's had cancer patients been given a death sentence, dead Tuesday one week, supposedly by the doctor. Weeks later, after taking the water alone, coming back alive and well, and then having the full treatment and continuing to take the water. When we were there on our second trip, we were invited into Port Moresby Hospital, where we treated a number of ladies with cervical cancer, and that came about through a woman who had the treatment from Mary in our absence. She was telling everybody in that hospital about the silver in the water and how it works. And our last night before we left, we treated 5 women there, and Lou is a testimony to the recovery. She within the hour that she was treated went from death to life, sitting up, hunger returning. We did not say goodbye to Lou because she had got up from her bed where she'd been unable to even say hello to us before we got there, and she went in the search of food. Now, the results that we've been getting continue. We witness it, I'm a witness to it, but you now have hundreds, literally thousands actually, of people in New Guinea, the ones on the street, the ones who are living their lives of, I call it hell. They are witnessing amongst themselves the restoration of their friends and their family members. And so we might have started the ball rolling, however, it's growing larger and larger by the day because of the witness of now thousands of people who, how can you explain seeing a boy one day unable to walk from A to B, and A to B is only 10 feet away, having so little life energy, and then the next time seeing him, he's walked 8 kilometres from our Gabaka Road clinic to the university where he lives. It's these kinds of results that are not only gratifying, but are testimony and the witness in itself that the protocol works. And what else should I say at this point? Oh yes, okay. We've videoed all of our work as the witness and the testimony to what we've been doing in Papua New Guinea. But Brian's been videoing every conversation that he has, and especially conversations of importance that take place with authorities. We did that with the governor's right-hand man in New Guinea. We had the ABC interview with Stephen Marshall. Stephen Marshall did a great job. He knew that he wouldn't be able to get the truth out there, exposing what we've really been doing, so he worded the interview in such a way where he was able to get it at least out there where the world could hear what it is that we've been doing. And the interviews here with the authorities have been suggested by our attorneys or lawyers. If Brian should be taken away and suggested that he's